Date of birth, your birthday.
5/11/25.
Union City, Pennsylvania.
Right.
How many children did you have in your family?
7. 4 girls and 3 boys.
Did you graduate from high school there at Union City?
No, I didn't. I was going to go into the service with my brother. And so I quit school and got ready to go in the service. And it turned out that he was wanting to go into the Navy. And come time for him to go, and he was too light. So they told him, go back home and come back in 6 months, and maybe he'd put on some weight and be able to go in. In the meantime, I got drafted. So I went in and he was still home.
What service did they assign you to?
Well, you had to take a test, and I scored high enough that I was able to go into the Air Corps.
Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps, yeah.
Where did you go to boot camp?
Greensboro, North Carolina. I weighed 121 pounds, and at the end of 13 weeks of basic training, I went from 121 pounds up to 163 pounds. 42 pounds I put on. Hard work.
Hard work.
A lot of calisthenics, yep. After we finished basic training, I was sent down to Keeslerfield, Mississippi to go to B-24 A&M school. And I don't know whether you know what a B-24 is. B-24,
Okay.
4-engine bomber, and it was the main bomber that we had to use against Germany and Italy. The biggest bomber we had at that time. Later on it was replaced by the B-29, which was a 4-engine bomber, but could carry a bigger payload.
What was your assignment as far as working at?
Mechanic.
Mechanic?
Yep.
Did you ever have a chance to get up in the air?
Yeah.
And
But I wasn't a gunner. I wasn't a radio operator or anything like that. I only flew when I had a chance. Then I went from there to Lincoln, Nebraska for reassignment. Lincoln, I went to Tucson, Arizona, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. In Tucson, I went to Italy.
Italy surrendered in September, and our task in Europe was one step nearer completion.
what was going on at the time in Italy during the war in '44?
Well, the war was still going on.
Right?
Yeah.
Where was your base in Italy?
Well, it was south of Naples, probably 100 and some miles. There was it was called the Foggia Plain, Plain, and there was hundreds of bases where our planes would land and be worked on. Sense of loss or something. It got so kills were mounting all the time, especially planes that were going from England over Germany. 70-some planes in one raid. So that's pretty high loss rating, yeah.
Where would the flights go principally? Where were they headed towards? Germany?
Yeah. And most of them just flew up in the northern part of Italy and the southern part of Germany.
You felt the war was going.
We felt it was winding down. There were stars and stripes and radio, and a woman, I'm trying to think of her name, she broadcast on radio at night.
This is Berlin calling. And I'd just like to say that when Berlin calls, it pays to listen.
It's called Axis Sally made her last propaganda broadcast on behalf of Germany just 2 days before Germany's surrender.
Shake us up. You're losing the war. Might as well give up.
Really?
Yeah. It was propaganda. Axis Sally.
Axis Sally.
The only reason we listened was because they had good music. So that was an enticement.
It's sort of sultry, sexy.
Yeah, exactly.
You women in America, waiting for the one you love, waiting and weeping in the secrecy of your own room, thinking of the husband, the son, or the brother, who is being sacrificed by Franklin D. Roosevelt, perishing on the fringes of Europe.
This is the BBC Home Service. We're interrupting programs to make the following announcement. It is understood that in accordance with arrangements between the three great powers, an official announcement will be broadcast by the Prime Minister at 3 o'clock tomorrow. In view of this fact, tomorrow, Tuesday, will be treated as Victory in Europe Day.
Nobody got shook up about it. They just took it for granted it was going to happen. It did happen, and that's all there was to it.
No champagne?
No, nothing. Nothing like that. Well, when we got ready to come back to the States, they put us up in dormitories at a big college. And it was about 4 or 5 stories high. And guys were getting condoms, filling them with water, and there's a lot of Italian kids down below, and we'd throw them and try to hit the kids, and it was a fun game. We wasn't trying to hurt them, just throwing rubbers full of water at them.
Well, it beats, I understand, it's kind of like a balloon in a sense.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So you veterans were kind of taunting the students.
Right, celebrating and
Yeah.
having a good time. In the dormitory, it was probably 30 feet from the floor up to the ceiling, and it showed a flight of B-17s and B-24s, and they were flying at probably close to 30,000 feet. I don't know whether you ever heard this story about Spam, the meat that came in cans.
Right.
Well, the caption under the picture was our last mission. And down below was a Spam factory. And the American bombers were going to bomb that Spam factory because they disliked Spam that much. We ate Spam and what they called shit on a shingle. Well, usually it was probably hamburg and maybe some other ground meat mixed in with it, and biscuits to go with the shit on a shingle. While I was stationed there in Italy, we had to walk about half a mile down through a field to get down to where we'd take our showers. And I was walking down towards it was fenced in. I was walking down there and saw this guy standing there with a barbed wire fence, and I walked over to him and figuring I couldn't speak to him because he probably wouldn't speak my language. I started saying something to him, and he lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
My God.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And here he was on the outside of the fence.
Yeah. He said, I sure regret moving back to Italy. He'd moved from Italy to Pittsburgh, then he'd moved back to Italy, and and he was sure sorry. In Italy, I was there until the war with Germany was over with. When I came back from Italy, I didn't even tell him I was coming back from Italy. Well, we couldn't tell anybody of our family that we were in Italy. It was off limits as far as telling anybody. I got clear into Union City. I saw somebody downtown, and I had my bag with me, and asked them if they'd give me a lift up to my folks' house, and they did. That's all celebrating I did.
So then you walk up the steps and in the door, and they must have been really surprised.
Hi, Mom and Pop. Our whole bomb group, squadron, all came back to the States. And we started training on B-29s. It was a bigger airplane, could fly farther and faster and carry a bigger bomb load. Had bigger engines, more powerful, and could carry a bigger bomb load, could fly faster and higher. It was all around better airplane.
Japan surrendered. The war was over.
Pandemonium broke loose here 2 hours ago. Firecrackers were all over. You can hear them now, I know, across the street. I'm Kenneth Campbell from Arizona. Okay, boys. Goddamn war's over.
When VJ Day came, a lot of soldiers were in town celebrating. And there was a heck of a big pool of water right in the center of town. And guys were throwing, and there was probably 25 or 30 alligators in the pool. And guys were throwing each other right in with the alligators. And none of them got bit.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, that's one way to celebrate.
Yeah.
And how long were you in Tucson?
Well, off and on, probably 5 years. And it was our home base.
Oh.
We wasn't there all one time. It was our home base. And we'd be there for 3 or 4 months. And then we'd go overseas someplace.
Right.
Spend 3 to 6 months overseas and then back to Tucson again. When I was in England, we got 3-day R&R, and most of us went over to Germany, because Germany had fallen by that time. And we'd go to Munich and Rhine-Main and Frankfurt and 2 or 3 of the other major cities. I was in for about 11 years, a little over 11 years. And then I got out and stayed out for a few months and then went back in again. And I re-enlisted in December of '45 to go to Germany because I liked it over there.
Yeah.
It was a nice, clean place, even though it was destroyed. So,
When you came back to Tucson after your time in Germany, was there any sense that you might go to Japan? Was there any...
well, the squadron I was in, the bomb group, we were slated to go to the Pacific to bomb Japan. I re-enlisted in December of '45 to go to Germany. Guess where I ended up? Alaska, 29 months.
Lined up at Ladd Field, Fairbanks, Alaska.
Reconnaissance squadron, and they got shot at by the Russians. And the Air Force sent a squadron of F-82s, which was a twin-engine fighter plane. Sent a whole squadron, I think it was around 32 planes in the squadron. Send them up and they'd fly cover for the B-29s. And they was going to go too far north.
Beginning of the Cold War.
probably. On the 21st of June, which is the longest day of the year, they held a baseball game without light. It was that bright at midnight on the 21st of
Oh
June.
my gosh.
So,
Yeah, take a look at that. That's midnight baseball game in Alaska. I love it. Fantastic. So were you there then? Did you remember going to the game, or is that?
oh yeah, yeah. It was more or less a must thing to go.
What was the weather like? Was it cool in Fairbanks
Not
in
in
June?
the summer.
Yeah.
The record for Fairbanks for temperature is 102. One thing that was kind of unique, we were flying from Hawaii, was about halfway to where we were going, and an engine caught on fire and lit up the whole sky. That was something to think about, being right in the middle of nowhere. And the pilot radioed ahead to the base where we were going and told them what was happening, and they said, well, just keep coming towards us and we'll put an amphibian plane in the air so they could land on water and pick us up if we had to ditch. We didn't. We was lucky enough to Kwajalein was the name of the island we was going to be heading for. And it was 5,000 foot runway, 5,000 foot for about 65-ton airplane, and exactly a whole bunch of room.
Explain what it was like as you're flying towards there, and you got an engine which is flaming,
Yeah.
and you can't solve the issue.
No, we had to shut it off. If we left it running, then the fire was going to get real bad. So we had to shut it off, go on 3 engines. I wasn't scared. And I trusted the pilot. He was a good pilot, so I figured if anybody could bring us in safely, it would be him. The time when we was landing at Albuquerque, it was a base that we landed at occasionally. And we had an atomic bomb on board. And the pilot radioed the tower and said the flame was shooting out the back of the engine, and the pilot radioed the tower and said they didn't call it an atomic bomb, they called it a unit, U-N-I-T. And he said, we've got a unit on board, and we've got to get this fire out. And I said, okay, and fire trucks were waiting out at the end of the runway for us when we came in.
So you were on the plane?
Oh yeah, yep.
Did you know there was a unit on the plane?
Oh yeah, I helped load it.
And the war ended by then?
Oh yeah, yeah. One time we dropped a unit off the coast of Florida. Didn't have the warhead in it. We dropped it off. We watched it all. I was in the gunner's compartment, and you got that big bubble. You can stick your head right out there and watch the bomb going down. And watch it explode when it hit the water off the coast of Florida.
Let me get this straight. After the war, you're in a, well, like this. There's sort of a bomb, it's a bubble.
Yeah.
There's a bubble. And you're actually testing atomic bombs
Yep.
off Florida.
Yep.
And you're observing all this.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to hear another good one? There was 15 planes to a squadron when we was at Tucson. We flew to Goose Bay, Labrador. Each plane had one bomb, and there was 5 planes. 5 from each squadron went up to Goose Bay, Labrador. We left the bombs up there, and 3 months later we went back up and picked them up and brought them back to the States. And the radio operator was a good buddy of mine, and he let me listen in on the radio. And one plane had lost 2 engines to fire. And the pilot wanted to know what he should do. Well, there isn't much you can do. You got a unit on board. It's weighs 12,000 pounds. There's only one thing you can do: jettison it. And that's what the pilot did. Guess where it ended up? St. Lawrence River.
No kidding.
Yep.
So this is an atomic bomb, also known as a unit.
Yep.
And you had jettisoned it, and it was an atomic bomb that lands in St. Lawrence River.
Right. Here's the kicker. We got back to Tucson. The next day, the newspaper in Tucson had this big article in there. B-50 from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base drops 500-pound bomb in St. Lawrence River. Well, it wasn't a 500-pound bomb. It was practically the real thing as far as weight was concerned. So
Wow.
we got a kick out of that.
Well, good thing nobody got anything more than a kick out of it.
Yeah. I was on a general's airplane for 13 months while I was up in Alaska, and that was good duty. He had a C-47 that he traveled around Alaska with.
So your job was to maintain that C-47.
Right.
Do you remember the general's name?
Frank F. Everest. He was a 3-star general. It was the darn best duty I had while I was in the service. Going first class.
Well, thank you so much.
You're sure welcome. Thanks for having me.